In today's show, we discuss, is ignorance a defence in law?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasula, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Taya Boya. Taya, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh? I'd like to say hello to the audience, in particular.
Yes, again. I almost was going to say it again. I thought, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it?
I'm
He's
always going to
done
do it
it.
from now on. So. But I would like to say hello to that one. Do you know I had this down pat before the blooming show started? I did want to say hello to that one person, whoever you are.
In Paraguay.
Well, so I said hello to the gentleman or lady in Paraguay. So no, not this time.
Oh.
This time it's in a town, and the town caught my eyes, and I was like, "What?" Yes, in Windhoek. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Windhoek.
Windhoek.
Okay.
In the Commerce region in South Africa.
Okay.
Yep, we've had one person
from that
Windhoek.
area. Okay.
I know we interviewed someone from South Africa. I wonder if it's him. Do you remember that gentleman we interviewed about what you call these things? What you call them? Crypto. Was South African? Yes,
It was, yes.
If it's you, hello. Oh, by the way, as a thought I was having, when I say hello to you from Windhoek or whatever, if it's you, send us a picture and say hello, and we'll put your name on and say, welcome you specially.
What about the other places that have loads of people?
Well, we'll get to them. We'll get to them.
All right. You're singling out the ones that there's only a handful or one.
Just the ones of the sort of the outliers, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm having a bad hair day. Sorry, guys. Never mind. So anyway, yes,
People
that's
on
the first
audio
thing.
are going, what?
Yes, I'm adjusting my hair, which is ridiculous for a man. Anyway, so here is your fact for today, but then we can crack on with the rest of the show. This one, I think you'll agree, is actually pretty wonderful. It is. In the UK, you can dial 159 to get through to your bank. This is
what?
A special service. Just try it. You can try it in real time. It's a special service that's been started in the UK to avoid phishing attempts and calling through to the wrong number. This is guaranteed to get you to your bank. And right now, as of May 2025, it covers 99% of UK banks. So you call 159, it says which bank you want to connect to, you tell it, and it connects you to your bank. And then you know that's your bank.
Wow.
So if you get a call from someone saying, hey, we want this and want that, just say, yeah, thank you, I'll call back. Don't call their number.
No.
Use this one, 159. It starts from the 1 on your keypad, and it goes diagonally down towards 9. That's how to remember. It's a diagonal. 159.
What a bit of information. That's very useful to all our UK listeners. Did you not know? I did not know that. So that is quite interesting. How recent has that been enabled?
I don't know. I found out myself about it just a few days ago whilst you were swanning around in Morocco. Where Tony, our intrepid international traveler, is always on the go.
I tell you what, Morocco, what a lovely place. People are lovely. The place we stayed was fantastic. We did a lot of trips out, which were really, really good. And the food was amazing. So highly recommended. If you want to go to somewhere slightly exotic, North Africa, weather fantastic too, then Morocco is a good destination for you.
Tony goes everywhere, so if he says it's good, you should go.
I get around a bit, indeed.
Yes, you do.
Right, on with today's show. Before I continue with the topic, I just want to remind our wonderful audience out there on whatever platform you're consuming our content on to please continue to like, subscribe, and comment on whatever platform you're on. We will get back to you if you do put a comment, but please subscribe and please like our shows if you do indeed like them, because it does boost our ratings on all the different platforms we're on. So please continue to do that. We value your input. Thank you for that. Right, let's go on with today's topic. And this is another one that Tayo picked, and it's an interesting one. It's, is ignorance a defense in law?
Should ignorance be a defense in law? It's not. But should it, is my question.
Should it be a defense? I mean, I'm going to ask you first. Why did you feel the need to raise this question so that we
Because
can
it's
discuss?
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The law, first of all, the law is so blooming complicated, and yet you're expected to abide, obey, and abide by it. And how's that possible? This is why people are always heaving up into court and then being caught unawares because it goes, well, I didn't know that. And they go, well, you should have. You know, how am I supposed to know that? And people have been writing statutes for centuries. Even even the most erudite lawyers, the biggest, when I say big, I mean the most accomplished lawyers, so we call them solicitors here, the most accomplished solicitors and barristers, Lord this and Lady that and whatever and ever. They don't know everything. If they don't know everything, what hope have you and I got of knowing these things? So we get to court and then we genuinely, yeah, I just didn't know that.
Okay. Let me come in there. Now, there is I get that, and you're absolutely spot on, because nobody would know all the nuances of the laws. I mean, the big ones you should know, and you should have an idea of, I cannot steal someone else's stuff. That you should know that, or copyright. I can't copy other people's material. These are fundamental things that we should all have a grasp of. And there are basic laws that most people, I would dare say, know. But you're right, there are going to be the obscure ones. But then again, how often are everyday Joe Public going to encounter those sorts of laws? So yeah, they could use the art of ignorance. I'll call it an art, art of ignorance, of saying, well, I didn't know, Gov. But it really depends on the judges and the jury, if it gets that far, to
You see,
determine whether you were exempt in some way, you had some justifiable reason, because there are mistakes. People make mistakes. I don't know, you mistakenly take someone's property thinking it was yours when it's very similar to yours, and you take it and you thinking it's yours, only subsequently to discover, oh, rats, I've picked up the wrong thing. It's not mine. Do you see what I mean? And the person could then have reported it as a crime, that their items are missing, and you've genuinely made a mistake. Yes, you've broken the law because you've taken someone's stuff, but it was a mistake.
yeah,
So,
that's not what we mean by ignorance of the law.
no, I
Ignorance
know,
of the
but
law,
go on.
ignorance of the law is, and you say how you were saying how many times does an everyday man run into it? Well, this might surprise you, several times a day. And I don't mean the same chap, but various people around the country run into problems with the law because they didn't know. Now, one sterling example is property law. Property law is insanely complicated, and it is so easy to fall foul of it. You thinking that you're dead right. So, for example, now I'm solicitors don't write in and go tires talking nonsense. This is a theoretical. This is not exactly what happens, but I'm giving a for instance of the sort of thing that could happen. I think you'll see what I mean. So there's someone's tree in his garden, has spread its branches and is spreading over your property, into your airspace. Ordinary common sense goes, yeah, I can cut that down because what's it doing in my airspace? And then you'd be shocked to find out that actually in Scotland you need either the chap's permission or the court's permission to cut it down. And you're thinking, well, hold on, Who gave him permission to be in my it's hanging over the fence. It's clearly over my property, and it's got these horrible fruits that fall down and they're damaging my plants. And the law doesn't care. It just says, yeah, well, you've got to get his permission. It says, but the guy, he and I, we're not friends. He won't give me permission. So, well, you have to go to court. So, but that's going to cost me a lot of money. Well, yeah, well, there you go. So the fact that you just innocently think, like I think a normal person would think, yeah, it's over my property. It shouldn't be there. I cut it down. You go ahead and you cut it down, and then you find yourself in hot water to your shock. And I'm saying that you should be able to go to, hang on, that doesn't make any sense. I should be able to cut it down. Well, you can't cut it down. Well, I didn't know that at the time. Sorry. And then the court should go, yeah, it's understandable. Goodbye. Have a nice day.
It's damaging someone else's property effectively because you could then kill the whole tree. So I can understand part of that.
Well, his
And
whole tree shouldn't be in my cotton picking in my cotton picking property, should it? That's my
well,
attitude.
this is following on from what we spoke about before, where there's nuances in the law. It's the way the law was written, and the law can't do a catch-all. It tries to, but it may not succeed. And so it does its best. And then that's where humans, solicitors, get involved to look at the detail of individual cases and see where the grey elements of the case sit. And that's their job. So it's like we were talking about it on a previous show about whether AI would replace
Yes.
judges. This is part and parcel of the reasons why it would be very difficult for AI to do so, because it it wouldn't know every nuance. Yes, it could recite the law verbatim, which certainly would help, but it certainly wouldn't be able to argue a for and against case for the people involved in the dispute. And this is where the human beings would need to be involved. But it follows on from our show. AI, I think, has to play a bigger role in this area because, as you've rightly said, lawyers don't know all the laws because some of them are quite old or obscure or haven't been revised in a long time. So AI can do a spiffing job of being able to recite all the laws of the land and bring up the laws for, in your case, in your example, gardens and overhanging, trees. And so that could be made available to somebody quite easily before they then decided, maybe illegally, to cut down a tree which was overhanging their garden.
Yes. Well, I was for a while a counselor, as you know. I chucked that in pretty sharpish.
Really?
Oh yeah, I couldn't take it. It's a talk shop for just time wasting talk shop, in my opinion. Parish counselor. But I remember we were at a meeting and it was something to do with moving a gate, or the church gate. And the parish owned the land, and the parish owned the land to which the gates would move, and from where it is now, which is church land, onto the land
that belonged to the parish.
That belonged to the parish. This to ease traffic and congestion, because when during services and when people, it's all a bit of a palaver. So just that's okay. We just move the gate here. Who's in favor of it? And someone said, hold on, you can't actually do that. There's this obscure. So the parish is willing, the church is willing, but you can't do it due to some blooming statute from God knows when, controlling what we could or couldn't do there without some, I don't know whose blooming permission that we needed to get first. I was like, oh, hold on.
Some sheriff that no longer exists in a role or something.
We both need, both parties are quite happy, but yeah, by law, you couldn't do it. And we were frightened that if we did it, we'd get the parish into trouble somehow.
Wow.
So in the UK in particular, property laws are bonkers. And whatever you're going to do, you really, I don't even think you should even sort of, exaggerating a bit here, ladies and gentlemen, But I don't think you should put a nail into the wall without calling a solicitor first. I'm just making absolutely sure that you're allowed. I'm saying as a homeowner. I mean,
Indeed.
obviously, if you rent, you definitely can't do that without speaking to the estate agent. But if it's your property, you've bought it or in the process of buying it through a mortgage, you might still need to speak to a solicitor because you find okay. So in one house we're living in a few years ago, I was paying this ginormous bill. I think my gas bill came to something horrendous, like £250 a month. This was early noughties, 2011,
Wow. That's a lot for
2000.
back then.
It was a lot. It was
Yes,
huge,
for back then. It's
and I was
it's
complaining
it's
about it.
nice now, but not then.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
and so first of all, I spoke to the gas company, and they said, "Well, we'll send someone out. It sounds like there's something wrong." The guy came around, just took one look at it, and said, "Oh, your windows, you got all these drafts in and everything." We said, "Oh yeah, yeah, we know, we got these drafts in." So anyway, we're going to have them done up. I said, "Well, that's the problem because that's why your house is always cold. You got all these drafts." Guess what? Those windows are they're historic.
Oh,
Can't touch
it's
them.
a listed building,
That's the listed windows, not the building. Funny
but the
enough,
windows were listed.
the
Wow.
the windows are listed. So it's like, yeah, okay, we'll put some kind of barrier behind them. No, that will spoil their aesthetic.
Oh, for who? Other people.
Who don't actually live there and who are not paying £250 a month. So you actually couldn't. Now I could have just, if that guy hadn't said so, if he just if he just come in and just said, oh, it's the windows, and he'd left. Well, I suppose I just told the estate agents. They probably would have said, "Yeah, okay, go ahead," and then would have found out later, too late, that
You
it's
shouldn't have done.
listed,
It's
and then
illegal.
it will be the council that will come around, and then nobody wants council palaver.
No.
Can you imagine? Well, you wouldn't have, and you can't just go, "Well, it's too late now. I've already done it. It was ignorance. It wasn't malice. It's all done." And then they should just say, "Yeah, okay, never mind. Next time, be more careful." And no, you're gonna have to take it out. I'm
Wow.
saying that we have to have a new way of. We need new laws. These laws were written when people believed in dragons, for God's sakes.
Yes. I'm
Okay,
with you
so
there. I agree. I
so it's
agree.
it's an outdated system. It was based on feudal law. Like all this property law was probably two barons quarreling about something, and it was going back and forth. People just writing it so that they favor this baron or it favor that baron. You favor this earl. Things like that. So we really need to get rid of it. And I don't like this idea of judges making the law, because when a judge comes down on one side in something where people are genuinely scratching their heads and they're going, so really, who's right and who's wrong? And then the judge comes down on one side, or judges comes down on one side, come down on one side. They're actually making the law, and I think
Well, are they? They're
yes,
interpreting the
because
law
well,
and
before they're making
applying
it,
the
because that
interpretation.
becomes the law. So it's not clear what the law is. So by the way, if it's not clear what the law is, how could you abide by it?
Well,
Then they pass judgment, and then they say, okay, this person is right, this person is wrong.
I'm sure that the law isn't that unclear. It could have some nuances in it that isn't clear. And also part of the judiciary system, when laws have ambiguity like that, they actually have to, I think there's a process. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure there's a process that they have to report on for the outcomes of certain the way an order has fallen, and they have to quote whether the law was clear and accurate in representing that case. So then they can get a picture of which laws might need tweaking because they're not clear enough. So there is an element of that. Laws are tweaked because they have revisions to them when they get so it's not everything goes into parliament, but laws do go for a review process. Now, the exact mechanism of how that works, I'm not 100% sure, but they do. If a judge has to deliberate over a law which is obscure, then they have to comment and update the law, not the law directly, but some form filling has to go on to explain their decision and how it correlates to the law itself.
Now, I've sent you a link, and in the link, it's the presses, the presses of the link.
Okay.
As far as I know, because I haven't read it, but this is coming from the AI and it's giving me a link. It says in the UK, if a law is ambiguous, judges do not send it back to Parliament. Instead, they interpret the law based on various methods, such as such as blah blah blah. Who cares? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
If the legislation is not compatible with the European Convention on Human Rights, judges declare it incompatible with the Human Rights Act 1998, which does not invalidate the law. It remains valid until Parliament amends it. So maybe that's what you're thinking of. So it's a very, very specific case of the law not being compatible with the ECHR, which is the European Convention on Human Rights, which I didn't know was still part of. I thought we left that behind. But
No, we
anyway,
haven't left that.
yeah, well,
Because
sort of
that's nothing
baloney.
to do. We discussed it before. That isn't, even though the name says European Convention of Human Rights, it's not really Europe that's in it, like the EU.
Mm, mm,
It's a lot of other countries that are in it, even not in the EU. So it's a weird name, to be fair.
okay. So anyway, I think that's so I'll send you the link and we're gonna share that with the
Yeah, we'll
audience.
share that in the blurb of
Right.
the
So
show.
again, like I said, so actually that's backing me up that they interpret it, they interpret the law based on whatever methods they use. And then in effect, to me, they've created the law. Because if it's ambiguous, what you really ought to do is send it back to Parliament and say, what the heck were you guys talking about here? And then Parliament, properly elected by us, then go and say, well, this is what we mean, because they represent us. So
I
we
get that,
then
but
have
the
a voice.
judges and solicitors have got to they're interpreting what the law says and giving leeway within that law. They're not creating a new one
Well,
because
they
there's
sort
no
of
other
are.
law that covers that particular element. So let's say, for instance, you just said, let's use your example of the hanging tree. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
in the law, it may state property that belongs to somebody cannot be tampered with by anybody outside that property. But maybe trees are not mentioned. And the judge is looking at that going, well, the tree's in, client A's garden, but it's hanging over client B's fence. It's not explicitly written down in the law, but it does say property that belongs to client A should not be touched by client B. But client B is saying that the tree is hanging into his garden. So the judges have to look at the situation and go, well, the law is not 100% clear, but we can use it as the framework of this situation and then judge accordingly. So they've got leeway to perform their job as judges as to where the case actually falls. Whose responsibility is it and who is
Yes,
and isn't breaking the law.
they do have leeway, but my argument is they shouldn't. So I'm not saying they don't have leeway. Yes, they do have leeway. What should happen is that if there is any question about in anyone's mind about whether this particular property can be tampered with, this is to say the hanging tree, the branch which is hanging over into the person B's property, then you just have to ask yourself a very simple question. What if someone parks their car on your property? You trying to tell me you can't push it off your blooming property or something?
Actually,
Obviously,
you
without
can't. That's
actually
actually a
without.
law.
Okay, bad example. What? What?
Yeah, that's right. If someone parks on your drive
Mhm.
and you don't know who it is, you can't push them off onto the
uh,
road.
I kind of thought you could because without damaging it, though. I don't know how you're going to do it without damaging it
Well,
and without opening it. So this, I don't think you're absolutely right. We can find out in a second. I think the rules are, and which are, see, I don't know the law, but I suspect it's in your favor to not open the vehicle, to not go into the vehicle, because the person can come back and say, "Where's the £5,000 I left in the glove compartment?"
mm,
So it's not
not
in
your
your interest.
property. Yeah, you can't.
Okay. So, but
Mhm.
if you can push it back somehow, whatever, without damaging it, I don't see that it's an issue. And obviously, if although you can call the police to do it for you. Imagine the police showing up and say they have to go to court. Anyway, so
Indeed. Well, that's the problem. But the thing is, if you want the law changing, they'll say, oh, yeah, we can't move that car because the law doesn't match it. We're going to have to wait till the law changes. See, on a practical note, that's not viable. And the tree one is not viable. You've got to give judges autonomy to interpret the
too
law.
dangerous.
No, it's not. That's the whole
This
point
is
of
why
them
we
being a
had
judge.
this is why we had all this kerfuffle about abortion rights and everything. First of all, it was pretty clear that you can't kill a child basically because it's inconvenient to you. Then some judges got a hold of it on Supreme Court in America. I'm talking about. The next thing you could kill children. Now the point is, no, there was nothing from
and you shouldn't say that in a topic like this because that's a terrible example. Or using that inflammatory language because it's not.
Well, I don't think it's no. Hold on, no. Also, the people feel very strongly about this. As long as I'm factually correct, it's not. I don't care if it's inflammatory. I am factually correct. That is a human life, and it's been killed. So
not according to law, because it's not a human life until it's become a fetus.
Well, it's now. It is
embryo.
back to being a human life now because it's changed again. But the whole point is, it never came from Congress. All this coming and going has happened with judges. It's wrong. If whoever changed it the first time was wrong, you got to send it back to Congress. This is America, obviously, I'm talking about. And Congress has to say what the heck it's talking about. Now, if Congress has been changing, if Congress has said before, and what we mean now is that it starts, human life begins after I don't know what week it is, whatever, okay? Well, okay, they represent the people and we voted them in, and that's what they've said. But these are judges. This is the point of my argument. That you can't leave it to judges. We used to send people to prison for life.
Who do you
leave? Parliament in the UK, Congress in America. The people that are elected to represent us. It's straightforward. There's no problem.
Okay. And where do they get their steer from then? Because none of them are doctors, majority. So how are they?
Well, that is why they have all these committees, and this is why they invite so-called experts on to come and give evidence to the committee. But having taken evidence from the experts, they then advise the larger body. So there's this climate. Was it climate? I was telling about it the other day, and we got an argument offline about it. And they listen to these experts. So this committee that sits listens to these experts, and then they go back and then they advise their colleagues and say, "Well, we've spoken to the experts. This is the situation." But then a political decision is taken because it's like this is America, obviously. They could say, "Yeah, well, we've heard what the experts have got to say. But our voters want this or that, and if we don't do it this way, we'll be voted out." Which is exactly means you are representing us, which is what you're supposed to do. But the judges don't represent. I don't even know what right do they have to change the freaking law. This is what I'm trying to say.
Right? Okay. In a way, it's better. In a way, if they're looking at it from not a voting point of view, because some politicians, I mean, we're digressing slightly here, but some politicians aren't doing what's the correct thing to do, but instead doing it based on their seat position. Oh, well, I'll get voted out if I don't vote in the way that the populist view is. Okay, but the populist view could be, why don't we all take poison? I voted for us to all take poison.
Well, if some of you, Tony, want to take poison, I suppose some of us.
No, but you see what I'm saying here?
No, because that's ridiculous.
They're taking no. I'm giving an extreme example to make my point.
Yeah,
yes, you're representing the people, but then you're representing the people with the right information, not with
it seems to be
just
working.
Whatever the people say. Because the population only have a limited knowledge on what they know.
But they know what they want, and they want what they know. So you've got to give it to them. That's what democracy is all about. You can't set people up in this is your fascist streak coming out again. You set up the experts, and we all listen to the experts. No, we don't want that. What we want is this, and it's our flipping country, and this is what we want. So just do it. And
That's
if you don't
why
do it,
democracy in that form doesn't work because the
and if you
people
don't
at
do
the
it, we'll
bottom,
throw you out and bring people who will do it for
people,
us.
yeah, exactly. But people, that's because you're letting people who don't have all the facts make decisions that are somehow key to the whole
Then
population.
get
How
out
can we
there
do that?
and convince the people. That's how democracy works. It works
Indeed,
with information. The reason we
indeed.
have issues now is because we've got a media that has been subverted. Is that the right word? Subjugated? Some word like that. Corrupted. We have a media that's been corrupted by the oligarchs. And we're not getting information. There's no freedom of information that we used to have when we had hundreds of newspapers and media outlets, and each one had its own little niche, and they were all arguing, and the truth percolated out. But now it's all one voice. It's we're not getting that information. So think about is it COVID or whatever. I've given up trying to understand what the heck the story is with those vaccines. You can't get the story right. I know that there's something there, but it's so mangled, and there's no clean source you can go to and go, what's the story with those
Soon,
vaccines?
soon, the whole internet will be useless.
Mm.
Tell you why?
Mm.
Because as more and more misinformation occurs, it's flooding the internet more and more. Eventually, even the conspiracy theorists will go, oh, that's too out there. I don't believe that. So as soon as they stop believing what's on the internet will collapse as an entity
That's
of
very funny.
information.
I can
So
imagine flat earthers getting to the point where they go, do you know, I used to believe the earth was flat. I don't know what the hell is going on.
but when it gets to
I,
that
I don't
point,
know.
then the internet is then broken. And then you'll only have a few places that will offer authority and trust. It'll have to build back up again. Everything else will be the wild, wild west, and people know you then cannot trust it in any way, shape, or form. So
Well, anyway,
that
BRICS are starting their own internet, they say. So maybe that would help.
depends who's policing it.
It's supposed to be police free. The BRICS is actually a pro freedom organization. So there's
That's
no one.
interesting when what is it, two or three of the main players aren't exactly democracy, so I don't see how that would align. But okay, I'll wait
I'm
to
not
see
really
what
sure
that
which three you
brings.
mean. I think there are some that aren't proper democracies. I believe Egypt. Have we got anybody from Egypt before we before we before we introduce
Saudi,
the
Saudi,
Saudi? Yeah, the Saudis are there. The
Saudi,
Egyptians are there. That's not a proper democracy.
Russia,
Russia is a
China.
democracy. It's a
No,
proper
it's
democracy.
it's not. It's
Yes, it
not.
is. Stop reading. Stop reading.
No, there's that. Remember, we said what a democracy was, and I gave you a table to share, and the
A table.
democracies are tiered. Remember, you've got the ones at the top that are completely free and not intervention, and then
Oh,
you've got it goes down to a sort of for authoritarian regimes, and it's sort of like a scale, and the US has slipped down and the UK has also slipped down. In fact, a lot of the countries have slipped down. But when you look at all the points, because there's 25 different points that you judge a democracy on, and then that's where they sort of roughly appear on this
I'd
list,
love
and
to
they
see
can go
that.
up
I'd
and
love
down.
to see that table again. And if we could, we might want to share that with the audience because I believe they probably want to see it.
Yeah,
See it too.
I'll
If you
try and
can,
dig it up
that
again.
would be great if we could.
I'll
And then
try
we
and
should
dig
have a
it up.
chat about it. So anyway, back to our topic in hand. So the first one is the law is too vast and complex for any reasonable person to fully know. The
Yep.
second one, I suppose I touched on it, but I don't know if I spelled it out properly. There's a moral difference between wrongdoing and honest ignorance. I think
Yeah, of course there
you
is.
actually touched on it. That's
Yeah,
what
of
you
course
said,
there
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there's
Absolutely
a
there
clear
is.
difference. So what are you punishing somebody who's honestly ignorant? I mean, you can't say he didn't know he shouldn't kill people. That's ridiculous. Although saying that, if you, I don't know about British law, but under American law, you can't find the person not culpable due to insanity, can't you? So they say they weren't able to tell right from wrong.
But that's the case here too.
Okay, so I didn't know about the British case for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
even there,
their
even
mental capacity cannot understand.
yes, well, I don't believe we do that in Nigeria, to be honest. I mean, if you try to hide it, you knew it was wrong.
Well,
So
indeed, indeed.
so
There has to be a rule of law. I get that because you've got
mm,
to deter people from breaking it. And so, in practical terms, you've got to follow the law, and you can't say, and you can't use ignorance as a justification.
not now, but I'm
No.
saying you should be able to. However, I do have a solution for it, but I'll get there. I've got two more points.
Okay.
One, citizens are rarely informed of legal changes that affect them directly. So, yeah, last week I knew the law, but you guys have gone and
Changed it.
changed it. So now I don't know. So, okay, ridiculous, it's really silly example,
No,
which is
no, that's a
obviously
valid
no. I'm saying
example.
I'm going to give you a
Oh,
silly
okay.
example. I'm swanning down the highway at 70 miles an hour, obeying the speed limit of 70 miles an hour. But last week you changed it to 60.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then you nab me. I go, what the hell is going on? And you go, yeah, no, no, we changed it. Say, well, who did you tell? I didn't hear that. I go, you have to keep. That's the funny thing about the law. The actual law is you. It's your duty as a citizen to keep up with the changes.
But
It's
where are
actually
the
the law.
changes published?
Parliament,
And
parliamentary.
are they made available to everybody?
Did you ever read, listen, or watch The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I did.
Do you remember? And if for people who don't know what I'm talking about, you've really missed out on something. You acquaint yourself with fantastic literature. Do you remember when the Vogons showed up and they were about to destroy Earth? And then
The
when all
Vogons,
the
but go on.
humans started shrieking and shouting and saying, "You can't destroy Earth," they said, "Hey, hey, don't complain. It's been sitting there in this in this planet on the other side of the universe in a drawer, and the building plans have been there. Do you remember?" The
I
building plans
do
have
now.
been there for 50 years. So if you can't bother to take an interest in your local affairs, that's your problem.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
So it's
Yes,
like
yes,
that. So if
yes. I
you can't
remember
bother
now.
to go down to London and wherever they publish their white papers, I suppose there will be some place where they publish it, but I don't think that the average citizen is going to find out. It's actually quite a good question you've asked me there.
No, it's
I
true.
know they publish white papers and all, but how
Yeah, exactly. If
you and
I
me,
mean,
how would we hear
let's
of
be
it?
honest, right? Let's be honest. If it's not that easily accessible,
Mm.
that if there's been a revision to the law, like you've given that brilliant example, you're going down the motorway 70 and all of a sudden it got changed to 60. So the law was changed. And you're like, well, can I see when it was changed? You say, well, it was changed last week. Okay, where was it published? So, okay, how did you make it accessible to me? And that's the same thing that happened to me. If you remember, I mentioned it a few years ago. I was just for the benefit of our listeners, there's a road around London. Our British listeners obviously are aware of it and putting their hand to their head now because
M25,
M25, which is
the
a highway
dreaded
to hell,
M25 highway to hell.
horrible road for the benefit of people who don't live in the UK. It's horrible. It's a ring road around London. But anyway, I was driving down there, and previously you have to cross a bridge, the QE2 bridge, which is the Queen Elizabeth Bridge at the time, and you pay a toll to go through it. And all of a sudden, I was driving there, no tolls. I thought, what's happened? What's
Brilliant.
happened? What's changed?
They finally
And
listened.
no,
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 I'm saying,
what
I know what you're going to say.
yeah. So you pay a toll as you go across, and that was all removed. So you could just carry on going. So you did. So you did. And
Mm.
then a week later, a fine appeared in the post. You haven't paid the toll
Yep.
crossing the QE2 bridge. It's like, well, where? Where would I pay? And this had only been implemented recently, and they'd did an ANPR, automatic number plate recognition system. So if you knew you were heading that way, it was your duty as a citizen to go online, pay the fee before you cross that bridge. So you pay the toll in advance. You
Mm.
can pay it on the day within 24 hours of crossing. But obviously, I don't live in London. I'm nowhere near London. I hardly ever go there. So I wouldn't have got that information. And I went down there, I received the fine. And so I queried it. I said, look, when did this come into operation? They said 2 weeks prior. I said,
Mm.
well, okay, who was informed? They said, well, we informed everybody. It was a big campaign in London about on the radio,
In London.
in London on the radio, on bulletin boards and everything. What about all the people that don't live in London that happen to come past? Well, and she didn't have an answer. So in the end, I did escape the fine. So
Mm.
ignorance on my part, but clearly they hadn't done their duty to put up adequate signage in that area to inform someone who wasn't from London of this change to the toll system. So at
Mm.
least anyone who's traveling through that area sees the sign and goes, "Oh, blimey, I need to go online and pay my fine." But sorry, pay the toll. But
Yeah.
clearly they were doing it as a money grabber because the signage was inadequate, not clear, too small, and they hadn't informed everybody in question.
Well,
But
you know
I
very
complained,
well.
I got out of it.
You know very well that every time I go to London, I get hit by some flipping fine every single time. It's just so annoying every time. No matter how careful I come back, 3 weeks later, hey, you owe us some money. Last time was £90 or something. It was like
Why? What did you do then?
you less thingy.
Oh, not
I
again.
didn't even see it. I was like, well, apparently, I went down this road. Where were the blooming signs, man? Oh, they're there. So I went online, and yeah, they're these little tiny flicking signs.
You see, the
Anyway,
signs, if they're not adequate enough to be read from a
they should
car,
be huge,
yes,
huge
they should be huge.
ULEZ for
Well,
people from outside the London. But the people in London think that London is the center of the universe, so they can't
wow.
understand why we don't know. Look, I've sent you a link,
Yeah.
and I've answered the question, by the way.
Okay. The
It's a very
legislation, yeah.
legislation. So www.legislation.gov.uk
Yep.
publishes newly enacted legislation for the UK, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland as it's published. So there you go. No more ignorance of the law. You have to go to legislation.gov.uk and keep going back every single day, I suppose.
And
It's
see
kind
what's
of
changed.
and see what's
Do they
changed.
summarize it or that it's all legal speech? I'm intrigued now.
I'm not.
All right, browse the new legislation. I'm doing it now. And United Kingdom, there's 4 new ones. Oh, it's not that many. Nothing published for Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So there's 4 new ones. Oh, yes, it goes back on days. So you can actually look at the days when, oh, blimey, when things were passed. And it says you've had 7 on the 19th. Goodness me. The last time they sat on the 16th, there was another 6. On the 15th, there was another 7. Goodness me. On the
Well,
14th, I'm going back dates now. On the 14th was another 5. How do you keep up with this?
you
If
can't
they're
keep up with
having
it.
that many per day, so you've
Hmm.
got half a dozen on average per day.
Thanks. And
Okay.
this is why back in the old days, I think we discussed this before a long time ago. This is why back in the old days, Parliament was never meant to be sitting all the time. What Parliament was meant to do was to come in because remember people were agrarian, there were farmers and whatnot, all the big landowners. So they didn't want to be stuck in London all blooming year.
Yeah.
So they'd come in, the government would say, "Hey, let's do this thing," and then they'd vote on several things. And then 6 weeks later, I think it was called the season. I think that's what they called it, the season, when all the hoity-toity showed up in London. This is why I had all these large sort of townhouses and whatnot. So they'll come in, they'd attend to business, and then they go away. So the number of laws that you could enact was limited.
Yeah.
But they sit every single day now. You can't sit for the vast majority of the year just kicking out blooming legislation. It's ridiculous.
But we covered it before. We said, do they ever go back and replace or
They want to,
update?
but they can't. They want to, but I mean, anyway. So last thing I want to say is
AI has to help with this. It has to and abolish laws which have gone past their sell-by date.
well, I propose something that's a lot easier, which is that every law has a
Has a
natural
date.
die-off day.
Yeah.
So
Unless it gets brought forward.
yeah,
And AI, again, will help in all this because it will then list all the ones that are coming close to term, so to
mhm.
speak. And then they can see whether they can discuss it, extend it, and so forth. Now, obviously, the easy way out is to just extend the date, which probably they will do. for each law that's coming to its end of term. But they have to give justification. Let's be honest. You can't just, oh, well, let's kick it into the future. Let the next parliament deal with it. They have to give a justification as to why they're not amending it now or get rid of it altogether. And rather than waste time on a justification, it may be simpler just to review the law. But they have to give a proper reason. They can't just kick the can down the road.
No, I think my suggestion was that it would be a lot harder to renew it, because when it comes back, it might need, say, 60% of the MPs who are sitting, or 80%, or 70, something high.
Yes.
So,
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the barrier to extend it has to have a reason. Okay, that makes sense. That's not a bad idea, actually. I like that.
Where's my
Nobel
Prize?
You're still trying.
I got to try. So the last one is this: denying ignorance as a defense gives the state dangerous, unchecked powers.
Yes, absolutely. No. Official authority. If you're playing in the citizens are dumb. Oh, well, didn't you know? We know we're the authority. And then you're handing over control and power too much to a small group, which isn't.
Thank you for agreeing with me. So
no,
those are my 4 reasons. And I think now comes the part. If you don't have a solution, you're just complaining, and you should shut up. So if you're not happy with something, you should have a solution. My solution is we have to rethink our entire legal system. And I would like it to be based on principles, fundamental principles that you can teach in school to everyone. Okay. For example, you said we shouldn't steal. All right, so let's make that more general. You shouldn't take what's not yours. Occupy what's not your property. Make that the foundational principle which you can teach. So you don't need the specifics of the thing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the specifics come through the law, but as long as you've got the underpinning of the foundation, you've got something to work on that you can teach easily to people. I get it.
Right.
Very good.
So every law has got to say which principle it's trying to implement, because we might have a law, for example, don't take human life, and don't take human life brings into question this question of abortion. So you start off with the can't take human life. It makes it far more difficult for people to finesse it. How the lawyers and the solicitors, solicitors and the barristers, how they come along and they use fancy language. And by the time they finish speaking, you don't know whether they're coming or going, man.
Yeah.
You're just totally confused. And then it goes off to the judge. And then depending on how the judge feels that morning, it's either this way or it's that way, which is totally useless. We can all look at, all of us with sort of, common sense, a modicum of common sense. We can all look at the foundational principle and go, no, hang on, no, that contradicts the foundational principle. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So that way you can't really, there's no one will ever say, I was ignorant, because you've been trained in the foundational principles. Each law has a foundational principle, and there's a limited number of foundational principles. So we can't do this insurance thing where you get a document from your insurer. Have you looked at this document? Some of them are 20 pages long.
At 20?
In fine print.
Have you ever seen the phone company's terms and conditions?
No,
they're 100 pages long.
No, really?
Yeah. How? What do they put in there? They know. And when people say, "Oh, I've read them," who's read them? No one's read them.
Why can I click on it when I haven't even scrolled to the bottom of the page?
I know. But although they're doing that now, aren't they? You can't click on it until.
Well, last time I did it, I was able to click on it. Just because the guy, you know what's going to happen. You just drag the scroll bar all the way to the bottom.
Okay.
I just keep your fingers crossed and say, I just hope they don't own my kids, man. But I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's true. That is just nonsense. I mean, they're covering themselves more than not. They do put sneaky stuff in there, that they do own some of the stuff and content that you've put up, for instance.
Oh, that's a biggie. That's a biggie you're bringing up.
I
thought we should even talk about it one day. We don't own anything any longer.
Well,
increasingly,
because you're using their platform to publish your stuff. So they have a modicum of control of what you can publish, of
Mm.
course. It's
What are
your
you talking about?
stuff. Any of the
I'm
phones.
talking about streaming services.
Well, streaming services are one, but I'm talking about your phone itself,
Oh,
actually
okay, the phone.
using the phone of how you use it. And you've got to agree that you're not going to use it in a, breaking the law somehow, although people do. So yeah, those terms and conditions cover a lot of stuff.
Really?
And yeah, and who reads it? Who reads it?
Why would the phone company care if you use it to break the law? They didn't. They didn't
They don't want
direct
to
you.
be, they don't want to be brought into disrepute. This is what
How would they be in dispute?
a lot of the companies, the thing that they fear the most is reputational damage.
Yes, reputational
So
damage.
if association to a criminal can be sort of again associated because of your brand, that tarnishes your brand by association. So if
Yeah,
somebody, I mean,
like
arguments,
pages. Did they even tell us those pages that blew up in Lebanon? Or I seen they kept very quiet about it, didn't they?
they didn't say the brand.
They didn't say the brand. They should have said the. Mind you, what is just done is I think everyone's just dumped pages just like so
I
yesterday, man.
know, I know, I know.
Because what the hell?
But yeah, this is what happens, and companies are protecting their intellectual property and their
Mm.
brand. So if they in somehow they feel that there's ways that people can manipulate the platform that they're using and somehow bring it into distribute, they want to cover themselves. So they're saying, no, we will fine you, or disassociate you, nothing to do with us, gov. You've broken our law and the law of the land if you do this. So it's they're covering themselves. They're covering their asses, pardon my language, rather
Well, the
than
thing is that they also do much more than that. They also steal. I'll call it stealing, but that might be truly inflammatory language. They are stealing people's properties because I'm giving you an example. An example is Kindle. As Amazon, right, runs
yep,
Kindle.
yep.
Well, Amazon Kindle, you've bought a book. That book no longer belongs to you. Now they did that, though you own it. They've taken ownership back, but you've already paid for it. It's already your book. Well, they've
You
taken
can't
back ownership
access
of
it
it.
unless if you cancel your Kindle account or Amazon account, then you no longer can access your paid for book.
They're changing. So you bought a book. Now, the example the chap gave was that he bought a book with a certain cover because he loved the cover of the book and the story. He loved that. Now Prime, I believe they're called. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
whatever. They're actually making a film from the book, and to help sell, they've changed the story and they've changed the cover. But it's not a new book. It's the book that's been on his in his library, he says, since he bought it donkeys years ago. So
They,
he's obviously doing his nut because like, hang on, if I had bought the physical book, you couldn't have done that. It's only because you got the ability that you've availed yourself, dishonestly in his opinion, of the ability to do that, and then you've gone and done it. You've changed the book. I didn't, I wouldn't buy this thing that you've got now. So the thing I bought without my permission, you've changed it. They say, well, we don't need your permission because it's in the T's and C's, terms and
yeah,
conditions.
yeah.
This is just astonishing.
Well, it is a lot of things like that. It's like and I don't want to name them, but um, the most popular satellite company in the UK.
What, Sky?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
This is the show that doesn't, mind you. I'm not the one who's about to slander or libel Sky. I don't know. Just be
I'm not,
careful.
not at
Okay.
all. I'm not. But they did. If you bought anything on the store, you paid for it. It was in your library. But if you stop paying the subscription,
Yeah.
then you lost the film. Now they used
It's
to.
worse than that. It's worse than that, Tony. I've got lovely films that I really, really love. All downloaded, all on my hard drive, but they upgraded the unit.
Oh yeah,
And when they upgraded the unit, that one became passe. It
obsolete.
just became
Yeah,
obsolete. And I can't even get the blooming thing. I'm just like, hang on. And they're like, yeah, sorry, that's a lot of people are complaining. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised a lot of people are complaining.
yeah. Because what they used to do, they used to actually issue DVDs. If you'd bought a film
Mm.
and cancelled your contract, they would send you the DVD copies of the films you bought,
Oh, wow.
which is fine. That's fine. You're at least you're getting your
Mm.
copy back. I think they've stopped that now. They've stopped doing it. So yeah. So when you're buying something, are you buying it or you're renting it?
You're
You're renting
renting.
it for longer.
It's
Yeah,
increasingly a rentage model. By the way, have you heard of this? I don't know if you use Prime,
I do.
but I
Yes,
pay because it's really
extensively.
useful, to be
Yeah, yeah,
honest. Okay.
absolutely.
So because I pay for Prime for deliveries and whatnot, I've also got access to Prime TV or
Yeah,
something,
Prime Video.
Prime Video. Now, one time that was a perk,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh man, this is a great perk. But recently, they're blooming adverts in there.
Yes.
So you're thinking, hang on, I'm paying for flipping Prime already. Why are you showing me adverts? In fact, Netflix now, I believe, has got more and more adverts
Adverts. Yeah.
coming in. In fact, they've, for various reasons, I hate woke material, so I've more or less stopped watching all these things. But there was this series called Jack Reacher. I don't know if you watched
Oh,
it.
I love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
So I thought, okay, I'll watch Jack Reacher. And it's through gritted teeth, man, because they got these stupid adverts that pop in. And it's like, this is ridiculous.
Well, you can get rid of the adverts.
Oh yeah. You
You have to
can
pay
go
more.
on. Well, you know, I obviously I'm totally against anything illegal. So I'm not by no means am I suggesting anyone should do this. In fact, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to say that I'm going to talk about something completely different. I'm the sort of person who likes, unlike Tony, I have a very specific kind of traveling I like to do, which is cruising. Not cruising in a homosexual sort of way, cruising on ships and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm visiting places, all around the world, especially bays. I love bays.
Okay.
Yeah, and if only I could visit, as a pirate, then I'd love to do that, and I'm sure I'd just have a torrent of fun. Do you know what I mean?
Very
VPN, guys.
good.
I don't have a penny from them. I've discovered them. I discovered them before I went to Nigeria, and they cost £5 or €5. I can't remember which. I think it's €5. €5 a month. They swear they will never change it. They started out in 2011, and it is still €5 a month, and they will never change it according to them. They swear they'll never change it. It's a fantastic VPN. I obviously don't have any income coming in from this, but if you're looking for a VPN, it's so easy to use. It's really wonderful. It's called Mulvad, MULLVAD. MULLVAD. It's a fantastic VPN.
Mulvad
Yeah.
VPN.
It is so security conscious that you don't even register with a name or an email. When you register, you get a number, and if you lose the number, you've lost the account.
Oh,
Yeah, you need to keep the number safe, and that's what you use to renew. And it's just that simple, and it's really, really, really security conscious. They don't let you do certain things, so you can't stream because they always use the same servers or something like that. So the streaming companies know who they are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you can't stream, and you can't do port forwarding and stuff like that because that spoils their servers. People start banning their servers.
Yeah.
So no hanky panky from that point of view. But if you just want it for straightforward VPN use, you're not up to no good, well, relatively speaking. I really can't recommend them enough.
Mulvad. Very good. Okay. You should probably be on the list of getting commission if you're promoting it that much. But there we go.
I just promote it because it's really good. Because I was with another
They are
one that I
not
just left.
sponsoring our show,
No,
folks. This is Tayo.
unfortunately. By the way, you should sponsor our show because I really like your product. But no, I kid. The only reason is I've just found it truly useful. Go for it if you
Okay.
want the VPN. Yeah.
Okay. We've got a couple of minutes left of the show, so we need to sort of sum up very soon. But have you got any
No.
final points about this? Is ignorance a
We
defense?
definitely need to change our legal system. It's just not up to scratch. It's just not good enough. And yeah, I honestly, ignorance ought not be defense in the law because you ought not be ignorant. Because the system should be such that there's no reason why you should be ignorant. But since the system is as it is now, until it's fixed, what are you going to do? I believe, I know it'll never happen, but it should. And ignorance ought to be a defense in law, as the law currently, as the state of play currently is.
I think that, I mean, there's a legal maxim, and I don't know how widespread this is used. In Latin, it's ignorantia juris non excusat, which is ignorance of the law excuses no one,
Mm.
because you can't avoid, you have to have that baseline, and ignorance as a standpoint shouldn't excuse anyone. But that's why each case needs to be looked at on an individual basis to see whether there's some mitigating circumstances that then perhaps lessens the sentence or whatever it may be. Or it can be, they could be let off with a warning, for instance, like your tree example. That
Mm.
would be silly if genuinely your property was being damaged by the tree, although the tree is not your property and you chose to cut it, you shouldn't be penalized because there was subsequent damage being happening to your property from the tree. So it works both ways. That's why judges and solicitors need to be involved as they see each case by case and see the circumstances of it, and then based on the foundation of the law, as you've touched on, they would then pass judgment on it. Whether they make laws, I'm still unclear about that. I'm still not convinced that that is the case, although they can judge based on that law as the fundamental principle and they base on top of it. Because obviously, as we said already, the laws can't cover every situation. They just simply can't.
That's why you have the foundational principles, because
But
then
the
it would.
foundational principles can also be interpreted in many ways. I like what you said, by the way. I'm not poo-pooing it in any way. I think that is a great cornerstone to start it all off with. But I mean, how many could you have? 20, 30, 40? How many
Well,
foundational principles?
the
Because
42
otherwise they'd
laws
be
of
too
power,
vague.
the
They'd be too
42
vague.
laws of power, which you should know as, have you heard of the 42 laws of power?
No.
Well, it was a spoof.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
well, there's the 42 laws of power, and there's the 154 laws, the 155 laws of acquisition, the Ferengi Federation in Star Trek. Do you remember the 155 laws of acquisition? So somewhere between 42 and
155.
155. Yeah, so but
Should do
155
it.
is quite a lot, to be honest. So maybe I
Oh,
have 50,
dear.
60 laws, which,
Okay.
if you study them over your secondary school career, you'll know them.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, unfortunately, we've got to the top of the hour. So if you've loved this episode, please hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexpected twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tyre, and we are the TNT Talk Show. But unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.